Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Mindful Teachers YouTube channel. If you haven't, kindly subscribe. If you're new to this channel, watch other videos introducing the channel. Going to be talking about on today's video: statutory records and actual teaching. Which is more important? Which should be our priority? An educator in the public sector. I teach in a public school. Statutory record is something that is of so much importance. I've seen inspectors come into the school and all they want to see is that there are records. Statutory records like your attendance register, your class attendance register. Apart from like student attendance in school, there's your period attendance register, which means when you go to a class, you actually mark the number of students that are present in that class as at the time you were teaching. Then you have your marks book, that's your records for the scores, the CA, the examination scores. We have co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, reports on what has been happening. We have the diary records on what was taught that week. We have the visitation book, records like that. That is what they actually ask for, and that's like the concern. Oh, lesson plan. How could I forget that? Lesson plan. Like a lesson plan. I'm laughing about the lesson planning because in actuality, in reality, how many of us actually carry out our lesson the exact way we plan it? And there's something about having the way you want to carry out your lesson, having the way you want to teach a particular topic as an educator. There are some that you can't really write the lesson plan the way you want to do it. When you write like that, they will start correcting, do this, do that. No, this is how it is done. This is how it is done. There's a method they want you to follow. And I'm not talking about the listing out your objective before you go into the content method. Like, this is the way to list out your objective. This should be your evaluation. Let it reflect your objective in a direct way. For example, let's say one of my objective is at the end of this lesson, learners should be able to define music. They want your evaluation to be: the teacher asks the student the following question. Number one, define music. Just as it's stated in your objective. But there are some objectives that you want the students to be able to do something. And then in the evaluation, you say things like, oh, I want the students to do so and so. Some people will just say, no, you don't write it like that. This is the way we do it. This is how it should be done. And especially because you are a young teacher, a young educator, you are not spent up to 10 years teaching. You have not spent up to 10 years teaching. They feel like, oh, you don't know what you are doing already. This is my class. I am the one writing the lesson. So at the end of the day, my point is that a lot of people write the lesson plan the way they want you to write it. But that is not the actual way you go about your lesson. So what then is the purpose of this lesson plan? Some of us don't even go to class with it. Or you go to class with it, you just dump it somewhere. Just in case somebody comes to assess you and asks you why you're in class without your lesson plan. Especially if you are especially teaching in a public school where you have a lot of students. For example, myself, I teach JSS2 and JSS3. Now, JSS2, we have A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm going to be teaching them the same thing. I've taught A, I've taught B. The method I'm going to use to teach C, the method I use for each of the classes, despite the fact that it's the same topic, is different. It depends on how the students will respond. Some classes will get the concept easily, some will not. So you have to think right there on the spot of something else, another way in which you teach them the concepts. And you don't expect me to take my lesson plan. Oh, this is how I've planned to carry out this lesson, and this is how I must carry out this lesson. That is not wise. For this lesson plan, you must write and submit before every lesson. If you have 3 periods, you are going to write double period for one, you're going to write single period for some schools, some administrators even forbid you from writing double period. So you have to write like a single. To me, I do not think that is a wise use of time for educators. It is important that you write the lesson plan. Agreed. It is important that, but how many teachers actually follow this plan? And you waste so much precious time writing these things because you must submit it. That time you can use it to mark your students' assignments, grade their homework, grade their classworks. But you're just busy writing meaningless, I beg your pardon. Let's just say you're just busy writing things that you are not actually going to use. Why? You see this subject attendance. I ask myself, why? I have 40 minutes to teach. Out of that 40 minutes, I'm supposed to introduce the lesson, the previous knowledge, and then I'm going to introduce the lesson of the day by introducing the objective, sharing the objectives of this particular lesson with the learners. After sharing the objective with the learner, I'm going to share the key vocabulary words and their meanings. We discuss that. Then we go into the activity of the day. We have on the lesson plan, we usually have like 5-6 activities. You follow it accordingly. And what you have written is not what's going to happen, because there's going to be distraction left and right. Somebody's going to ask the question, they are going to be stuck on one thing or the other. So after that, you are supposed to evaluate. After evaluating, you're supposed to now wrap up, summarize the lesson, clarify difficult concepts and all that, and then give assignment, all within 40 minutes. Tell me, when am I going to be able to mark the class subject attendance? How am I going to be able to check, oh, these are the people that are not in class? We spend so much time on that. It does not even look feasible to me. Why? The same question I keep asking is why? So I have a senior colleague who has told me several times that this recording that you're always doing with book and pen, writing, can't you people use Excel? Can't you people do this? Can't you people do I was like, this is what happens. We actually use Excel, but it's used for the results. Apart from that, you have your own record, hard paper record of the scores in your MacBook with the name of the student. You'll be like, that is the same thing I'm talking about. It should be soft copy so that you don't have to upload the scores here, then write it somewhere here. My dear EduTech, please help us. Come up with something that will eliminate pen and paper. Writing of scores against name, first test, second test. Can we just have an application where we can upload it directly and where the results can be printed from there? We should be able to have something like that. I'm calling on all EdTech, please collaborate with other stakeholders in the education industry and come up with something. We need a good use of our time. We can't be recording with paper and pen. I have over 500 students. It is not wise that I'm recording with pen and paper after each test, after each exam. Then I'll still collate, and the scores I will still have to upload for each and every student. It's not a wise use of time, honestly. Statutory records are important. Don't get me wrong. They are important. You need to have your scores. You need to have your register. You need to know who is present, who is absent. You need to know the rate of truancy in your class, in your school, for your subject. Some students are even present in school, but they won't be in class at that particular time. Is this important? But we shouldn't place so much emphasis on it that more than we actually place on the actual teaching, on the actual learning, teaching and learning process. Because that is what the major thing that happens in a school. So we have had, because of this emphasis on statutory records, we have people who don't actually put in so much effort into teaching, into transference of knowledge, but all their records are up to date. And those are the teachers that are being applauded. Other things are not being checked. For me, I prioritize teaching and learning and transference of knowledge before records. Honestly, I do all I want to do with my learners before I start writing one or two things. Whatever I write, I don't know, I can defend myself anyway. Because eventually the students they're not even aware of the records you're keeping. What's going to stick into their brains is interaction. What's going to stick to them with them for life is the interaction that they have with you. That's what they're going to remember. Nobody's going to remember the records among them, among the learners. The records are going to remain in the school for them to check.